Okay, so I think we can kick off the session, everyone. Thanks very much for your patience. So you're very welcome to the session this morning, and thank you all very much for coming along to it. I hope you're enjoying, for what is at least some of you, the first week of the semester. My name's Dara Coakley, and I work in the Department of Technology and Enhanced Learning. And this initial session is really just to provide some initial guidance around some of the main features of Canvas and just give you a quick kind of whistle-stop tour of how it works and how it can be useful to you. So I'm not going to take up too much of your time this morning. I'm hoping to get through all of this within a half hour, but there will be a recording of this session made available afterwards on our YouTube channel. So if at any stage you want to revisit anything, or if you missed anything, you can access the YouTube recording and see everything that we're going to cover here today again. Okay, so I'm just going to turn my video off and proceed. Like I mentioned, I work in the Department of Technology Enhanced Learning, and our website is tel.cit.ie. And basically, we look after all the various digital teaching and learning systems within MTU Cork. But the main kind of feature that we look after, or the kind of hub for where everything is really, is this virtual learning environment called Canvas. And that's mainly what I'm going to focus on in the session this morning. If you do have any questions, if you're joining us through Zoom and you have any questions, please feel free to make use of the Q&A feature. So there should be a button within Zoom where to bring up questions and answers kind of box, and you can ask any questions you have there, and either myself or my colleague Lauren will be able to kind of get back to you. And I'll be stopping now and again to allow to go over any questions people might bring up. And if you're joining us through YouTube, you can use the YouTube live chat feature to ask any questions. And again, Lauren will be keeping an eye on that, and we'll be able to answer your questions or else bring them up and I can kind of talk through them. Okay, so in terms of what I'm going to cover today, I'm hoping to just look at, I suppose, the Canvas, mainly just kind of how to get into Canvas, how to use Canvas, how to find help with Canvas, and then a couple of features and a few tips and tricks that hopefully might be useful for you in terms of getting the use out of this system. So in terms of accessing Canvas, basically the main thing you need to kind of remember is that you can log into Canvas at cit.instructure.com. And you log in using your student number, which is, I think, for ye either or00123455 or MTU, yada, 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 and whatever password you use. So the same kind of details that you use to get into your student email is what you'll use to log into the Canvas system. So basically, if you see this screen appear, you'll be logging in using your student ID, which is something like this, and the password that's associated with that. So once you've done that, basically you're into the Canvas system. And when you first access Canvas, this is the type of interface that you will see. So basically all of your modules will be displayed in this middle area here. There'll be a couple of menu items on the left-hand side here, and you can bring that in or move it back using the kind of button in the lower left corner if you want. And basically in terms of how to get into any of your Canvas modules, you simply click on the module and that will bring you into it. Now, one thing that maybe just before we go any further that I do want to highlight is that if you have any difficulties at all in terms of Canvas, if you're not sure how to do something, if something isn't showing up for you correctly, if you run into any issues whatsoever, then what you can do is you can click on the help icon over here in the lower left-hand corner, and this will always be available to you. And this will give you a number of different help options within Canvas. Now, where this is particularly useful is the ability to use web chat with Canvas support, because what that means is basically Canvas provides a 24/7 support service, which means any time of day, any day during the week, any time during the day, a Canvas support agent will be available to talk to you directly. So if I'm encountering any difficulties at all in Canvas, what I can do is once I've logged in, I can simply click on the help feature. There's a number of options available, and you can submit a ticket, you can use telephone support, you can send them an email, but we found the web chat to be the most straightforward and the quickest way of being able to kind of get help. So basically, once you bring up this menu, if you click on web chat with Canvas support, this will open up this kind of page where you will be able to give your name, your email, and you'll be able to identify, for example, if you need some help but it's not urgent, or you can't get something done until you hear back from someone, you can basically fill in those details and press the start chatting button at the area. So anything at all, any difficulties at all you have with Canvas, if you're not sure how to do something, if something doesn't seem to be working for you, at any stage, once you're logged into the system, you can click on that help icon and use the web chat as a way of getting help with whatever you need. So if you don't take anything else away from the session today, I think that's pretty much the most important piece of advice I can give you, because as I mentioned, they're available 24/7 to help with any issues you're having. So there's no need to be kind of stuck at any stage if you remember to use that help feature, and from there you can access the support options available to you. So with that out of the way, within the Canvas kind of interface then, as I mentioned, once you log in, you'll be provided with your dashboard, which will list all of your Canvas modules. And from there, you can simply click into the module that you want to access, and you'll be brought into that kind of module area. Now, as you'll see, the interface changes a little bit once you're inside in one of the modules. More often than not, your kind of starting page for any of your modules might be the syllabus page, which basically is just kind of an overview of the module, or else it might be this unit page where all of the various kind of units, all the various kind of weeks and so on, anything that your lecture puts up basically will be visible inside here. So whether it's the syllabus page or the unit page just depends on how your lecturer sets up the module. So this starting page, if you kind of land on this, is useful just in that it gives a bit of an overview of the module. So at the top, you'll have recent announcements. You might have a bit of a spiel in here, which your lecturer would put up around what this module is about. And then down the page is a module summary, which is basically a list of all the different things that are coming up as part of this module. Now, your modules won't necessarily be as kind of busy as this. This is just something that I set up for the purposes of today. If you land into the units page, basically you'll be presented with all the different files, learning resources, assignments, so on and so forth that your lecturer wants to make available to you. So in terms of the units area, and this is kind of one of the, I'd say, the most important area of your Canvas module. Basically, your lecturer will have created what's called in Canvas units, which is these basic kind of like categories. You can almost think of them as like folders containing the different elements. So more often than not, how a lot of lecturers might set up their module is, for example, they'll set up a unit called week 1, and then everything related to week 1 will go inside here. And that can include links or to slides or to PDFs or any other material that they make available, or PowerPoints. It might involve assignments, so links to assignments, which will bring you to the relevant assignment that you need to complete. Or it might just be kind of various kind of PowerPoints, PDFs, Word documents, etc. Whatever your lecturer wants to put up will usually be available inside in this units area, and they'll usually be categorized according to these various kind of units, which more often than not are kind of week 1, week 2, so on and so forth, or they might be grouped according to subject area. So basically the unit is the main kind of area, I would say, that you want to go into in Canvas in terms of accessing any material that your lecturer has already put up. The other big element in terms of being inside in your Canvas module is assignments. So assignments that your lecturer makes available in Canvas are basically just, you can almost think of them like kind of virtual pigeonholes. They're basically a space where a lecturer would say, okay, I want you all to submit against this particular assignment by uploading a file in here or else in here. And all you have to do as a student then is it's quite a simple process. When you want to submit against a particular assignment, you simply click into it. Now, often within this kind of first page, your lecturer will have put up a bit of a brief or a bit of an explanation about what this assignment is, what they want from you, so on and so forth. And what you can do from inside here is once you click into an assignment, if you notice, there's a button up in the top right corner, which is for start assignment. And when I click on that, it opens this kind of area at the end of the page. And from there, I can identify the file that I want to upload, and I can submit against this particular assignment. Now, most, but not necessarily all assignments will look for a file upload. We generally recommend that people lecturers set up assignments looking for a file upload, because it's just the easiest way for everybody to complete this assignment. It's easiest for lecturers to be able to get a file from you, and it's easier for you, hopefully, to be able to just kind of put something together in Word or as a PDF or whatever and upload it directly here. So again, if I just go back out of this for a second, if you go into an assignment, you simply click on the Start Assignment button, and that will bring up however you're meant to submit this assignment at the bottom of the page. So for instance, here, I'm going to click on Upload File, and then I'm going to use the Choose File button to grab a file. So I'll just put this up. And if I want to, let's say, for example, if your lecture wants more than one file against this particular assignment, you can click on Add Another File, click on Upload File, and from there you can simply grab another item. If you want to, you can put a comment in here. So here is my assignment files. And when you click on Submit Assignment, that will simply upload the files that you've selected. And you can see here in the top kind of right area, there's an option here which notes this has been submitted. You can access details, you can download the file, you can download the files that you uploaded if you want, and you can, if you need to, let's say if you uploaded the wrong files against this particular assignment, what you can do here is you can also click on New Attempt and just repeat the process. And generally, if you have to submit a second time, let's say if you made a mistake the first time around, it's no harm in the comments area to just flag that, sorry, I uploaded the wrong files last time. So that's assignments really. It's relatively straightforward. You simply click into the assignments area, click into the assignment, and upload the relevant file in question. So another element to be aware of in Canvas is quizzes. The main kind of submission or assessment types that will be available to you within Canvas are going to be assignments and maybe to a slightly lesser degree quizzes. And quizzes are basically just digital multiple choice questions. So you'll notice that kind of when you click into the assignments area or maybe within the units area, this little kind of rocket icon signifies a quiz. And taking a quiz is very straightforward as well. All you need to do to access a quiz is you simply click into the quiz. This will bring up, again, kind of like the brief for the quiz. Maybe something to definitely take note of is the time limit. So if your lecturer has set a time limit against a particular quiz, it'll be listed here, and it's no harm to be aware of that before you begin answering questions. But when you are ready to begin, then you can simply click Begin. And what that will do then is it will present the quiz interface like this. So for example, for most of the quizzes that you might be taking, there'll probably be multiple choice questions. There might be one or two essay questions where you might need to type in an answer to a particular question. But generally quizzes will be presented this way. And you'll notice here that the timer is ticking at the top of the screen. So that gives me an idea of how much time I have remaining to complete this quiz. You can simply select the questions that are available. And when you want to, when you're ready to, you can simply press submit. If you have any unanswered questions, this will kind of flag, this little pop-up will flag it with you here. And when you click submit, it'll be identified that your submission has been successful, and that's the quiz done. So again, the quiz is relatively straightforward to take as well. You simply click into the quiz, you click the begin button, and from there, it's pretty self-explanatory. So another element then within your Canvas modules are the different communication tools that are available to you inside here. And sorry, maybe just before I go any further, just to reiterate, if you do have any questions, if you're joining us through Zoom, please feel free to make use of the Q&A feature. And if you're watching on YouTube, please use the live chat area to ask any questions that you might have as we're going along. And I'll definitely kind of pick up on any questions as well at the end. In terms of communication features then within your Canvas modules, there's a couple of different kind of options available. So one very useful feature is the announcements tool. So announcements are basically, yeah, they're pretty much what they say on the tin. These are just announcements that lecturers will put out. So for this particular module, you can click into the announcements area and see here that the lecturer in question has put up an announcement. So for example, important about tonight's e-learning design lecture, and basically that just identifies what the lecturer kind of wants to tell you. Announcements are usually worth paying attention to because lecturers will usually put them out just, you know, about important stuff. So for example, just a reminder that this assignment submission deadline is coming up. I'm not going to be able to make the class today because my car broke down. so on and so forth. So announcements are worth keeping an eye on, just to make sure that kind of you're informed as to what updates your lecturer has kind of made available. Now, another communication tool in Canvas, which is quite useful, is the Canvas inbox. Announcements generally are per module. So for example, if I go back to my dashboard, there might be an announcement from this module, and then separately, there might be announcements specific to this module, so on and so forth. So announcements tend to be just per module. A tool which kind of goes a bit beyond that then is the Canvas inbox, and you can access this by clicking on the left-hand side over here on the inbox feature. And what the Canvas inbox does basically is it's kind of like Canvas's internal email system. So any messages that have been sent to you through this kind of Canvas inbox are available here, and you can click into these to access them. But what you can also do if you wish to is if let's say if I'm sick, if I'm not going to be able to make a class today, if I'm not sure about a particular assessment, the details about a particular assessment which I have to submit, what I can do is, if I want to, I can go into this inbox area, I can click on compose a new message, this button up here. And what I can do here is it'll bring up the option to compose a message, and from here I can select the module in question. So I'm going to select this module. And then in the to option, what I can do is I can click here, or better yet, I can click over here, and that will identify, okay, do I want to send a message to a fellow student, or do I want to send a message to the teacher associated with this module? So I click on teachers, I select the teacher in question, and from here, I can type in the message. In this area down here, then I can simply ask the question about the assignment in question, or whatever else I want to add. And if I want to, I can attach a file to it inside here. So this can be a useful backup as well. Let's say if you're having severe difficulties, let's say uploading against a particular assignment, what you can do is, for example, say in here, I couldn't upload against the assignment in this module, please find attached. And then simply click on this button and grab the assignment file that you want to send on. And when I click send, that will be sent off to that particular lecture. So the Canvas inbox is a useful feature. It maybe just spares your inbox and your lecture's inbox a bit of additional traffic. It kind of just makes the process of, okay, it's going to be this module, and I'm going to send it to this teacher. So that can be a useful way of being able to quickly identify, okay, this is the module that I'm having difficulties with, this is the teacher, and send them a message this way. Generally, it's worth maybe, if you can, being aware of some lecturers would probably prefer to get an email to their @mtu.ie email. Some lecturers might prefer to get it through Canvas inbox. So it's maybe no harm to just be aware of their preferences, just as the best way of making sure that your message reaches them effectively. So another feature then within each of these Canvas modules is Zoom. Now, Zoom was obviously very heavily used during the COVID-19 period, or excuse me, the COVID-19 kind of lockdown period. It's maybe a little less broadly used at the moment now that we're all back on campus, but some lecturers might still use Zoom as a blended approach to teaching classes, or they might use Zoom, let's say, for example, if they're sick or if they're not able to make it in. So it's no harm to be aware of how Zoom within Canvas works. So again, a relatively straightforward process. Within each of your various modules, you can simply click on the Zoom item in the menu on the left-hand side. And if there are any upcoming meetings, then they will be listed here. So if any of your lecturers has set up a Zoom class, let's say for next week, you can click into Zoom, click into upcoming meetings, and they will be displayed inside here. And that's a useful way of maybe just being aware of what Zoom sessions are coming up. Equally, if your lecturer had taught a class over Zoom, but you weren't able to make it, a useful feature is if you go into the Zoom area and click on the Cloud Recordings tab, what this does is it gives you a link to the recording of any of the Zoom sessions that have been delivered if your lecture recorded them. So if your lecture gave a Zoom session and you weren't able to make it, but they recorded it, simply click into Zoom, go to Cloud Recordings, and from here you can simply click into this, and this will allow you to access the Zoom recording. Now, if I click on this, it might come up that you have to sign into Zoom in order to be able to view that recording. And in this instance, all you need to do is click on the SSO button, and that will bring you to this login page that we looked at earlier. So the same login system basically that you use to get into Canvas, you use to access Zoom as well using your student ID and your MyCIT email. So if you have any difficulties at all, you can go into the Zoom area, click on the cloud recordings and access it that way. And again, if it asks you to log in, just click on SSO and that will bring you to the relevant page. Another feature then, maybe just on the topic of Zoom, is the Canvas calendar. So if you click on the calendar icon on the left-hand menu, what this does basically is this will display a calendar and it'll flag all of the important elements from your various modules within this calendar. So for example, I can see here tomorrow that there is going to be, that there's a Zoom setup for this particular module. If you want to, you can decide what modules or the information for which modules you want to show up on the left, on the menu on the right-hand side over here. So for example, if I click this one or this one, you can see here that they disappear and reappear accordingly. So for example, if there's any modules that I think are critically important or that let's say I don't want to be visible inside here, I can simply come into the calendar area. I can click these to turn the modules that I see on and off. And up along the top here, I can also go, okay, well, instead of showing me what's happening over the course of a month, just show me what's coming up this week. Or if I click an agenda, basically it'll give me a rundown of all the various kind of elements coming up. So for example, I can see here for this particular module that there's extensive use being made of Zoom, which is why all of these Zoom links are coming up. And then due on Monday the 3rd, I have this assignment that I have to complete. So the Canvas calendar is a good way, even if you want to click in here and click on the month item to maybe see what assignments might be due this month, and then in the week item to see if what's coming up for the coming week. And all of those are interactive links. So if you click on them, they'll point you to the Zoom meeting, or let's say for an assignment like this one, you can simply click into it. It's going to give me the details, and if I want to, I can just click on the title here, and it'll send me directly to that particular assignment. So in terms of additional supports then, maybe a few to be aware of is, as I mentioned, the first and foremost support available is that Tier 1 24/7 support. And again, click into the help icon, click on web chat with Canvas support, and that really is your best way of being able to contact Canvas. And again, that's available 24/7. So if you're stuck at any stage, please do make use of that feature. If you want to, you can also email Canvas support, you can call them, you can submit a ticket, again, in the help item, but we've genuinely found web chat is the quickest and easiest way to get a solution to any problems you're facing. If you have any specific issues relevant to MTU, you can email. So that's an old email. So apologies about that. It's servicedeskcork@mtu.ie. So I suppose the Canvas support is only ever going to be able to help you with Canvas stuff. If you're having difficulties with, let's say, your student email, or the system isn't letting you log in, or one of your modules isn't showing up, Canvas support isn't really going to be able to help with that, but IT services will. And if Canvas can't help you with any of the features, with any of the items that I mentioned there, they will usually kind of direct you to the relevant body within MTU Cork in terms of who to contact. Some additional kind of resources then that we try to provide around Canvas. As I mentioned, our website is tel.cit.ie. So we have a section there for students, which basically just kind of provides guidelines around the different technology and answer learning tools available. And yeah, just kind of tips and tricks around how you can make use of those. We also have a set of student guides, which is available at edtechstudents.eu.helpdocs.com. If that's a bit hard to remember, really all you have to remember to do is go to our website, click on the support item up here, and then it'll send you to the right area accordingly. So self-guided support is our student help articles, which is this. And basically, these are just help articles that we've put together to help students in terms of, for example, if you're not sure after all my blathering about how to submit an assignment, you can simply click in here. And there's an article there on how do I submit an assignment in Canvas, and that will walk you through the process. So if you're having difficulties, if you're not sure about something, this is usually a good bet in terms of being able to come in and maybe try and find a help article that might direct you to the relevant area. So for example, how do I access a recorded lecture? Just kind of walks through the process that I identified there in terms of getting at the Zoom recording. And again, if you're not able to access, if Zoom is looking for details, you can see here there's links to other kind of help articles there in terms of signing into Zoom and so on and so forth. We also have made available within Canvas this Canvas Learn student course, and all students are automatically enrolled in that. So that Canvas Learn course is basically, it's just a walkthrough of all the different features in Canvas, all the different tools. So that might well be worth a run through. If you're not sure about how to do anything in Canvas, it just provides a very good overview of what Canvas is, all the different features, a lot of the stuff that I would have talked about here today, for example, in terms of the dashboard, in terms of accessing the units. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that I would have covered here is available within the Canvas Learn course, and it genuinely doesn't take too long to complete. So that's a really good run through of all the different kind of Canvas features. We also have a practice assignment module, again, which all students are enrolled in. And this is a very useful module because basically it just gives you the chance to practice submitting through Canvas. So for example, if I have an assignment due, let's say at 11 o'clock, and I go in right now at 10:30, and I find that for whatever reason, I'm not able to upload against this particular assignment. Maybe my browser is out of date. Maybe I have a browser extension that's blocking things. Maybe my internet connection is bad, so on and so forth. This is a useful kind of space, just being able to practice submissions to make sure that your system is working okay. And it just saves you that last minute panic of trying to do it on the day and finding out it's not working. So basically, even after this session, if you wanted to go into the student assessment guide, what you can do is practice submission. And from here, you can go, okay, well, I'm going to have to upload an assignment. So I just want to make sure that I can do that. So I click on assignment to upload, start assignment. As we identified earlier, I'm going to grab my file. I'm going to submit assignment. And just the fact that it's submitted there, it helps me to identify that, okay, I know that I can upload a file. So there's no problem with my browser. There's no problem with my system. I can definitely kind of upload my file. And again, the idea with this module really is it's just designed to try and spare you that last minute panic of going to submit at the 11th hour and finding for some reason there's some technical issue and you're not able to upload against a particular assignment. One very common thing as well that we do encounter is if you can't find the module. So for example, if I go back to my dashboard and I know I'm meant to be enrolled on a particular module, but it's not showing up here for me, there might be one or two reasons for that. So one reason is that Canvas modules are only available when the lecturer publishes them. So that's maybe the first thing to check, either with your peers or with the lecturer. Has the lecturer published this module in Canvas? And if it isn't published, you won't see it here. If it is published, you will see it here. But maybe a more common element then is that it's not actually an issue with Canvas. It's maybe an issue with Banner or with the kind of student enrollment system. So for, let's say, for whatever reason, it might be the case that in the student record system, you've not been enrolled in the relevant module. And the best way to do that, we have a link, we've details on it in one of our help articles, is basically you simply email Web for Student to identify, have I definitely been enrolled on this particular module? So again, if if that does happen to you, and if you're not sure why you're not able to see that module, and the lecturer has definitely published it and so on and so forth, it's useful maybe just to go into the help articles that we've put together. And the name of this one is basically I can't see one of my modules. So if we just go back here, I might just type in I can't see, and that'll show up. And all the details on how to contact Web for Student are inside here. So like I said, I just mentioned that because it's quite a common one. Just maybe just one or two final just tips and tricks that I'd like to just leave you with around Canvas. So one thing maybe to be aware of is this thing called the Immersive Reader. So if I click into, let's say, the Canvas Learn course, and I go into a page here, if you have any kind of issues in terms of eyesight, or if you have any kind of issues being able to see what is actually on screen, what you can do for every page inside in Canvas is click on this Immersive Reader button up in the top right corner here. And all that does is it presents a more kind of legible, visible kind of version of the exact same content that's on that page. And if you make use of a screen reader or similar software, you can use that. To view this, to access the content that's listed here, or Canvas provided its own kind of screen reader feature. If you click on the play button here, it will kind of play audio and basically just go through all of the content that's available here. And you can change the voice settings as you want to using the button down here. If you want to get out of the Immersive Reader, you just click on the back button up here. Another feature then, which might be useful to you, is basically notifications. So generally, every time a lecturer puts up an assignment or adds something or has some kind of big update in one of the modules, you might get a notification to your Canvas inbox or to your student email. If you find you're getting too few or too many notifications, what I can do is I can click on my account button up in the top left corner here and click into notifications. And what that will allow me to do is it will basically allow me to identify to Canvas, okay, tell me when there's a new announcement in my module. Tell me when there has been content added to a module. Tell me when a due date for an assignment has been changed. And against each of the items here, what I can do is I can click on the bell icon here, and I can identify, okay, if there's a change to a due date, I want you to tell me immediately. So I select notify immediately. Or you might say, okay, I want you to tell me, let's say, weekly summary, which is basically at the end of the week. Or else I might say, I don't want you to tell me about that at all. And for each of your modules, you can do this for your account, or else you can do it for individual modules if you so wish, using the drop down here. So for this, these notifications are going to be specific to this particular module, but generally you find it's as easy to just set them for an account, and you'll figure out in your own time kind of how much or how few notifications you want to get. Something worth noting in the notifications area as well is that you can either set these notifications for your email, but if you have the Canvas mobile app, which I'll talk about in a minute, you can set them for this as well. So you might identify, okay, for my email, I want to get notifications about the due date. I want to get notifications when new files are uploaded, so on and so forth. But for my app, I don't want to get notifications for this. I want to get notifications for this, so on and so forth. So you can play around with the notifications to kind of suit your own requirements then. Something maybe worth mentioning as well is that if you want to, you can kind of customize your dashboard a small bit within Canvas. So the way in which you can do this is basically, by default, all of the modules you're enrolled in will be visible here. If I want to see all of the modules, for example, modules from last year, modules that might be coming up for semester 2, I can click on the modules icon and I can go to all modules. And that will give me a list of past enrollments, future enrollments, so on and so forth. And inside here, I can see which modules are published or not published. So that might be useful, even if a module isn't showing up in your dashboard. If you go into modules and all modules, you can see, okay, well, I'm meant to be seeing this module, but I can see here it isn't published. And if it's not published, then you know why it's appearing on your dashboard. But one thing you can do as well with each of the modules that is listed here is you can star them. So you do so by simply clicking the star next to it. And what that will do is basically that will ensure that only the modules that I've starred are going to show up on my dashboard. So for example, if there's a lot of modules showing up on my dashboard and not all of them are relevant, what I can do is I can go into this area, I can star the ones that I only want to see, for example, the ones that are going to be relevant for this semester. So for example, this is a past enrollment, so I'm not going to need this. I'm not going to need to see this. What you can do then, once I click back into the dashboard, you'll notice that only those 3 modules that I starred are showing up in here. And if I want to undo that, simply go back into the all modules area, I unstar them so that if nothing is starred, basically everything or the most kind of relevant ones are going to show up on my dashboard. So when I go back into my dashboard, yeah, all of the modules are kind of showing up again. A final thing then, in terms of your dashboard, if you want to, this is the card view, and I think is the default view, and I found it myself the most kind of useful view. But if you want to, you can also change by clicking on the menu item up here into the list view, which will give you basically like an agenda. So for example, this is what's coming up today. This is what's coming up on the 3rd. It's a little bit like the calendar, but it's a little bit more streamlined in terms of just presenting the relevant kind of information to you. And you can also change that back to card view, or you can change it back to recent activity. That's relatively useless, to be quite honest. Personally, I prefer the card view. Some people prefer the list view. So again, entirely up to yourself in terms of what you would prefer. So just a final point then, as I mentioned, there is a mobile app available for Canvas, and it's called Canvas Student. So you can download that onto your smartphone, and the app is generally quite handy. It basically lets you access all of the Canvas content or Canvas updates or Canvas announcements and assignments the same way that I've gone through on the browser here. So that can be particularly useful for keeping track of any updates or announcements or communications from your lecturers or from your classmates. So for example, if you're on your way into class and your lecturer puts up an announcement to say, I'm not going to make it into class today, sorry, my car broke down. If you have the Canvas Student app, that announcement will be flagged with you immediately. So it's a very useful way of just maybe being able to stay on top of any communications that are coming out from Canvas. And an additional element then, in terms of assignments, the Canvas Student app can actually be quite useful as well. Let's say if you want to use your smartphone as a way of submitting against assignments. So I'm just going to play this video real quick. Basically, if you go into the Canvas Student app, you'll be presented, let's say, with this. Let's say you click into this particular module. What you can do from here, for example, is you can click into assignments, and you can click on the assignment that's due. And through the Canvas app, using your smartphone, you can click on Submit Assignment. And what that's particularly useful for is when you click on Submit Assignment, you'll be presented with this screen. And if you want to, if you see along the bottom there, just hidden kind of under the timeline, you can identify, okay, do you want to access your camera on your smartphone? Do you want to access the library of existing pictures that you've already taken? And what you can do is when you select, for example, the library, that will give you access to all the images that you've taken. And from there, you can simply submit the images through the smartphone and submit them that way. So that's useful, for example, if you wanted to submit against a particular assignment using photos on your phone, or if you wanted to, pull out the camera on your phone directly and take photos of your work. That's a very useful way of being able to do it. So that Canvas Student app is a pretty useful feature if you want to make use of that. So that's it for this session. Just a final note then, we do have an email available at edtech@mtu.ie, and if you want to follow us on Twitter, our account is mtu_tel_team. So that's it from me. I went on a bit longer than I had intended to, so apologies for that. But I'm just going to pause now. If anybody within Zoom has any questions, please feel free to make use of the Q&A or the chat feature to ask them here. And if anybody has had any questions on YouTube, Lauren, I might ask you to maybe just let me know if anything has come up.
Darren, nothing there on YouTube, yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Lauren. So if anybody in Zoom has any questions, please feel free to ask them through the Q&A feature or through the chat feature. or if everybody is okay and just wants to get on with their day, please feel free to throw that into chat or into Q&A as well. So yeah, going, gone. Okay, I'm going to take that as a sign that everybody's happy enough with that, and that yeah, that you've definitely at least had enough of listening to me waffle on. So look, all that's left to say is thank you so much everyone for your time and for coming along this morning. Like I said, we'll be making a video recording of the session available on our YouTube channel. And again, if you go to tel.cit.ie, you will be able to access our YouTube channel from within there. So yeah, otherwise, look, hope you have a great rest of day. Hope you have a great rest of week. Hope you have a great rest of semester. And thanks again for coming along to the session today. So thanks very much, everyone, and take care.